also to share, so it's really a very good thing. By the way, my name is Abiodun. Okay, I'm a supply chain consulting professional. I've been in the profession for some time. At some point, I thought it would be best for me to just nurture the new professionals that are coming in, because I feel like at some point I won't really be great enough for them. So instead of competing with them, I thought, okay, well, what about you just help these guys, to show them the direction, to help them to see how they can actually, also build their own career in the profession. So I started Serial Project Services, which is intended to actually be an outsourcing consulting organization. So, well, you already know what that space is like. You have all the big fours, the IBM and all that stuff. I know who wants to compete with them, not
Yep.
me. So, this is the reason why I chose where I love to help. I mean, I chose training and professional development. So one of the things we do is helping supply chain professionals, project management professionals who are looking to build a career here in Canada. And a lot of these folks are really talented and they're skilled. I mean, look at example here is Kartik, who has lots of years of experience even before moving to Canada. So I feel it's the best space for my organization to start out to see how we can really help to get a lot of foreign trained professionals back to their career where they can really add value to what we do in the industry. So, talking about adding value, we have Kartik today, adding value to his colleagues. You already know about data analytics, you know about data science, it's pretty much what everybody is saying out there in the industry, So I know a lot of us always have that question, even in our group, like, okay, how can I get started on this data analytics thing? And of course, there were a lot of interest in our group, and this is why we have Kartik here today to help us to know, even just how do I start? Where do I pick up this thing from? I remember me being introduced to SAP a long time ago, and I never got to start in the consulting area just because I didn't have anybody to mentor me. So these are the kind of opportunities that we provide in Supply Jobs Canada, which is a community of supply chain professionals. And we're grateful to have Kartik here today present to us data science for beginners, for professionals. So without much ado, I will hand it over to you, Kartik, to help us on this journey.
Thank you so much, Vidin. It's really a privilege and honor to be part of your network, and this opportunity to present, give this seminar about what is data science and what I do, and the tools that can help supply chain professionals. I'm really happy that we could have the session today, and probably I hope people from supply chain professionals will have benefit from this 1 hour session. Um, a little bit of intro about me. My name is Karthik Palaniswamy. I come from India. I'm a mechanical engineer and then a data scientist. Originally, I started working in power industry. I was a mechanical engineer doing the projects for Alstom, Arriva, Bocard, Schneider, and companies. And during my course of time, I traveled to a lot of places, including Europe, Southeast Asia, and US. And my role from engineer moved on to a project manager. I did my PMP, and then I also got myself involved in supply chain. During some of the projects that I was trying to develop in Europe, I had to bring in a lot of equipments and supplies from India and Southeast Asia to Europe. And that's when I got my first hand into supply chain. That's when I understood the challenges, difficulties, and the complexity of supply chain and how it can impact project. Um, and how I can leverage my experience coming from low cost country, sourcing in India and Southeast Asia. At the same time, I can bring in the quality and experience to build projects in Europe. That was a very successful model between the companies where I worked, and that is when I thought I must dig deeper into this area and take the advantage of data analytics and try to see how it can benefit my company. And later, I moved to Canada, and then I did a full-time course in data science and applications. And after that, I was working in a company called TCR in Toronto, but that was a financial um, back back office process kind of a company. Then I was more interested in moving my career back to power and supply related jobs. Then I was fortunate to have the company that I work for today, Link Energy, and they provide retail energy to customers, both natural gas and electricity. So my role currently as a data analyst, I analyze the customer data and the in-house data, and try to reconcile and provide insights from the data. So having given an introduction about myself, today I welcome you to the session. I'm going to present you what is data science, what is data analytics, how it can help you as a supply chain professional, or in general, how can data science help, or is it transforming industries and businesses today? I'll jump into the presentation. I'll share my screen now. Can I get a confirmation if everybody can see the presentation?
Yeah, good.
Okay, thank you. So data is the new oil, and this kind of statements we are hearing from a lot of sources, even in the media, in the newspapers, and that's very much true. And this was somebody who quoted sometime like a decade ago, Mr. Clive Humbley. He's a British mathematician and a chief data scientist in a company called Star Count, and they do customer insights, customer insights for their company. And yeah, data. See, without data, whatever you say will be your opinion. This was quoted by an American engineer long ago, and he's a lecturer, management consultant, as well as a professor, and he has written so many books. Why do we talk a lot about data, and why is it becoming more important? Today, data gives you all the insights, and any business or even social media generate a ton of data today. But how do we get this information? It is not presenting by itself. Data is there, but we need to look into data, do some research to find out the information that we require. And by looking into that information, a data-driven decision can be taken, and that can transform a business. So that is why data is becoming more and more important. Uh, a decade ago, if you look at, nobody spoke about data. There was nothing known about data. There was no profession called data analyst, data scientist, data engineer. But this has become a new trend, new revolution. Why? If you ask this question, why is data becoming more and more important? The fundamental, or the pioneering requirement for this data is the internet and connected devices, low cost hardware and connected devices with internet. So internet, social media, and connected devices and businesses are now are going online. Terabytes of data is generated every single day, either by human source or from machine, and that contains um, a bountiful of opportunity to understand about the business. Um, okay, what is data science? Data science is, it is explanation by itself. It's data and science. It combines science to extract useful information, insights from both structured and unstructured data. It covers patterns by building predictions using algorithms and statistical models. That is about data science. But just with data, is it sufficient for me to understand my business? No, I need data. The most important thing with data is the business domain and the business knowledge. Data with the business domain and with some amount of statistics can be very powerful in analyzing our business and understanding what it can provide us in terms of taking a very serious business decision. Without this data and without these tools, people used to take decisions by judgment, by their experience, and not every time does it their decisions become correct. Now, with real-time data and with this knowledge, all the decisions that are taken are driven by data. So solving problem with data is easy if we have a good understanding of our business domain and with little amount of tools, computer tools, software tools, and statistical models. That will give us a very deep understanding of our business and our domain. In my opinion, anyone can solve a problem as long as they have these skills to know what to do, where to look, and how to do it. So when you put these three things together, that is about data science. It's a kind of approach and a philosophy, uh, and that's an overview about data science. But within data science, there are different areas where people work. It can be artificial intelligence, it can be machine learning, it can be natural language processing, and let's see how it helps in different domain and different industry, how things get integrated, and how does it help to take a proper decision. So before moving forward, I will also talk about a little about artificial intelligence, because the moment people say data science, everybody think about artificial intelligence, because this is another trending term that we hear every day. Every new application in your phone or even in your computer, we talk about artificial intelligence. I mean, we come across this term very often nowadays. Artificial intelligence is a subset of data science, and artificial intelligence is nothing but it takes advantage of one or more tools in the data science spectrum. When you combine these tools to create a to solve a problem and create the output, that can be termed as artificial intelligence. Data science encompasses AI, and AI can use one or more tools from the data science domain. And so, how do I define artificial intelligence? Any technique which can enable computers to mimic human behavior with the help of data science can be termed as AI. And within AI, there can be a machine learning and a deep learning models. And these are nothing but algorithm models written mostly in a software called Python, which takes the advantage of statistics and the data that is generated to create statistical models. And when you supply the data into these models, they perform some data analysis and give us some report or an output. So that is a broad understanding of AI. And within AI, there are domain-specific AIs, like industry-specific AIs and generic AIs. The most that we come across in Hollywood and in the movies are these generic AIs that can function like human. Let me tell you, we are very far from reaching that kind of AI system. Today, all the artificial intelligence applications, tools, softwares that we have, they are very nascent. The ability for AI to consume data, manipulate data, and mimic a human behavior, we are in a very nascent stage, and we are very far from reaching that kind of the roles that we see in the movies. Let me move forward. And before that, I would like to also tell you, AI is not something that is very new. AI has been here for very long time. It all started in somewhere in 1950s, but it is becoming more popular today. Why? Because, like I said, today we are connected with a lot of different tools and technologies enable us connecting from one person to another, business to business, and through these connections, a gambit of data is generated, and that data is piling up. And how do I make sense of this data? That is when this artificial intelligence, machine learning models, data science, they come into picture to help us. So that is why AI is becoming more trending in the recent past. Excuse me. So what are the applications of data science? I want to briefly touch about. This is not a comprehensive list because there is no industry that data science or AI cannot benefit from. Excuse me. And a variety of industries are going to get transformed through this AI and data science. Let me talk about a little bit about the very preceding industries that are taking up data science to the next level. See, data science can be applied to all industry, but the banking, finance, e-commerce, and insurance, manufacturing, healthcare, these industries are going to be deeply impacted by this technology. Say, for example, in a banking and finance industry, how can a data science technology help? Um, Nowadays, you would have heard about the term called algorithmic trading, bot trading. So this is another small application of data science. Now you have an algorithm which monitors the trend of a particular stock, and it creates a model out of it. And by looking at the previous history, we build a statistical model, and we tend to predict what will be the share price value, or what will be the next share that would be hitting or crossing a certain threshold. By making this prediction, you eliminate your risk, or you diminish your risk, and you try to increase your profitability by investing in the right stocks. That could be that is one great example. Customer sentiment analysis in social media is another good example. Fraud detection in banks and in especially with credit cards and credit transactions, that has become a very important banking solutions today. And I don't think any leading bank wouldn't have this technology. And if you travel to a different location, and have you experienced any time when you travel to a different location and you were trying to use your credit card or your banking transaction, and your transaction was stopped, it was blocked by your bank? So that is an application of a data science. So the banking system, they create a model of how do you bank, where do you usually go, what is your banking transaction pattern, and based on that they create flags. And based on those flags, if any of your transactions cross those thresholds, then there is a flag that gets raised, and your transaction is blocked or stopped by the bank until they ensure that this transaction was made by the right user. So this is very good, another example for data science application in banking. And risk modeling and predictive analysis for investments. That is another area where banking industry uses AI. When I come to manufacturing, today manufacturing is another industry that is slowly getting transformed. We have seen how the robotic manufacturing, goods movement, and machine vision in manufacturing is impacting manufacturing process. This is because I'm a mechanical engineer. I've seen these technologies in their nascent stage, and today they are very advanced. they can make judgments, and I mean to say they can make decisions and by the machine at the right real time, and then they can self correct and do the process. So robotic automation with IoT tools, Internet of Technology, it's playing a vital part in manufacturing. So these minute or microchips that are becoming embedded part of all the tools and gadgets, even gaming toys. So that always measure the sensors measure the information about a product and keep transmitting to the receiver. Based on that information, a product can be tracked, the impact can be analyzed, and wear and tear can be understood. And based on that, a manufacturing setup can be transformed. Then transportation, we are seeing self-driving cars and optimized delivery routes by our maps. So this is another area where companies like Uber, Tesla, they are working very hard to bring self-driving cars, efficient and innovative technologies into transportation. When I come to e-commerce, this is something that every one of us would have seen. Have you ever purchased any product from Amazon? And beneath your purchase or before you make a purchase, have you always witnessed the recommendation that Amazon comes up with? When you purchase a tab or iPad, immediately you will see that Amazon recommends you a cover for your iPad or a protection for your phone and so on. This is something called as recommendation system. And this recommendation system is again a pattern which algorithmic model looks into the behavior of a customer buying pattern and then creates a matching pattern with the products that they bought together. And then it creates a model, and that model keeps suggesting to the next user that you may be interested in buying the second product based on your first purchase. And lastly, in this presentation about healthcare, healthcare is another industry that's going to be highly transformed by data science, especially with machine imaging and the machine learning process. So there are something called as deep neural networks, and like you see the network diagram here. This is called deep learning, and this deep learning can create temporary memory registers within themselves, and they can self-learn based on the inputs that were given to them earlier. Say I have a brain tumor image, and I have like a million images that is already predicted by leading doctors, and I keep feeding this model with this data. This model tries to learn from that data based on the images and what was the condition. And after some time, when you just simply feed this model with fresh image that is not labeled with any prediction, this model can look into the data, find that area that is anomaly, and then it can predict. Probably today these models are up to 90% accurate, and that prediction can tell you what disease is this person going through, or what is that recommendation that must be come to this person. And like I said, the list is vast. I've just given you an overview of leading industries. And let's move to the next area. I want to briefly touch upon supply chain because supply chain is one among the many industry that's going to be highly transformed and impacted by data science. Because first thing, supply chain cannot be ignored regardless of whichever industry we work in. And the goal here is to reduce the overall cost and make the process more reliable. That is where data science helps in supply chain industry. Say, for example, in demand analytics, data science can help forecast the future demands. And with the help of current sales, what will be the demand in the future. That can be determined by data science. It can also help us taking into um, taking into account of the holidays, the weather patterns, all that it can take into account and then give us a prediction. Imagine if this has to be done manually by a human. Um, Probably there are softwares, I agree, but the changing conditions, the changing situations, that cannot be programmed in a software. So the key difference is that data science, AI, and machine learning models, they are self-learning. The ability for these models to learn from patterns, learn from real-time data. That is where the key difference comes in. In the area of inventory optimization, the predictive analysis can forecast what will be the inventory and how much should be ordered, how much inventory should be positioned in a warehouse. That can be one of the probable solution for inventory optimization. Network planning takes into account the manufacturing units and the warehouse availability, and it creates a flow path, and thereby it can fulfill the requirements of the customer. Replenishment planning and analytics, it can create in this area, AI can create when and where to ship the products, and it can also help taking into consideration the challenges that can come during delivery, like weather situation or shipping problem. Today, we all know about the problem that's happening in Suez Canal. So these kind of real-time information can be directly brought into the models, and the model can learn from this information, and it can self-correct and give us a current or real-time predictions. Procurement can in procurement we can use machine learning models to create a scoring for suppliers, for vendor quality analysis, partner to find the partners based on the constraints and the policies, and that can help us reduce the cost of the goods that we purchase. And lastly, in transportation, like we see, transportation is completely getting transformed, and it can visualize the right the optimized route for transportation, and it can also make a schedule for the shipment and delivery of goods. Um, Moving forward, I always before even I ventured into data science, I always had intuition about every every object or every tool that how did it work. When I was very young, I used to develop a lot of projects like like a FM transmitter, a radio receiver, something like a computer. Like I used to create my own computers, and I used to test and try to make them function. So I always had this feeling of knowing about how things work. I came across a book called "But How Do It Know?" And that book is something I wouldn't recommend you to read, but I learned from this book like how to analyze things and how things work. See, nature is a wonderful. Mother Nature is very wonderful. Mother Nature work seamlessly. Mother Nature um, work without any resistance or any problem. But to even make the smallest thing that we see in nature artificially by human made, it's so much more difficult. Things doesn't work just like that. A lot of things has to go correct, work in harmony for even a small calculator to function correctly. So data science is no different, and we humans only know how to create how to mimic our intelligence using these kind of technologies that are available, especially hardware and the software that we presently use. So with these tools, how do we achieve the goal of making a prediction, getting a model to self-correct, all of that? So that is when I thought I should have this presentation. So any kind of data needs preparation, modeling, simulation, and deployment. So data, I will cover the complete integration of this in the next slide. But before that, I want to tell you, data comes from a different source. And that data, mostly it is in a raw form. And this data must be cleaned and prepared. And this is pretty much what a data analyst or a data scientist do. The only difference between a data scientist and a data analyst is that data scientists work on the model, developing the model and trying to fine tune the model for performance. Data analysts and data engineers work to create a pipeline to feed the model. And this is one of that pipeline. So the first step in the pipeline is to clean and prepare the data, and to provide human insight. See, the data may or may not be clean, and it may be garbled. It may contain errors, mistakes from human intervention, or machine might have gone corrupted. Instruments would have given wrong information, and all that. So the human insight is very important when you look into a data before you feed into a model. And then we try to create a small simulation. This is not a full data model. And then this is fed to the data model. Like I said, data model is a function of a data scientist, and a data scientist create a statistical model using programming languages like Python, R, or SAS. We will talk about that later in this presentation. And what they do is they take this data and they train this data with the model. Training meaning we find the pattern, and we do some regression analysis or some pre-trained model that we have. We feed this data into the model. Say, for example, I have a model, a statistical model that can differentiate between a cat and a horse, for example, based on the features of the cat, the size, the dimension, the color, texture, all of that. A model, say, it can differentiate between these two different animals. Now I have a new data that I want to get to this model, and I want to get some outputs from there. So I need to train this new data to prepare my model. And this new data may have a variety of other human faces, for example, or a variety of other pictures and content. So that is when training and tuning the model becomes very important. Once the model is ready, then it is ready for testing and simulation. And model, when I talk about model, it's nothing about software and algorithm. And the software and algorithm reside within a particular computer. Now I need to create an access to this model. That is when operability comes into picture. And that is by creating something called as application interfaces, which can interact with the data source and my model. Then when I start integrating these systems, I can now perform a simulation and integrate this with my business requirement. So once I am very convinced about my data, the model, its performance, then I'm now ready for deployment. So these are the very basic process that is involved in a data science activity. Um, the deployment can be of three different types. Either you have it in your computer or in your in-premise servers, or you have it embedded in small equipment like your phone, like your the digital watch, or a toy or whatever. And it can be also implemented in a cloud like Amazon, Azure, or Google Cloud Platform. And then you can have your model sitting there and do some functions for you. Let me go to the next slide to tell you how the entire thing works. I can give you more detail about this pipeline. So these are the software tools and the detailed process of how this pipeline works. Um, these software tools that I've listed here are not extensive. These are some of the tools that I use in my daily routine that I'm very much aware of, and I can talk about. Again, to start with, again, I want to tell you that all of this are possible only because of the internet connectivity, the low cost hardware, and the security, uh, the, um, the security like the security softwares, antiviruses, defenders, and all that that we have currently. And privacy is also very important in this area, because sometimes the data that we are handling and working on is a customer data or data of a third person. So like I said, data source can be human generated or machine generated. Like every time you open your application on your phone, you go log into a website, you purchase something in Amazon, or you fill up a form for a voting system. All that is human generated data. The Apple Watch or your tracking devices, these are machine generated data. So this is the true source of data. This source must be stored in a location. You have your data generated, but where does the data go? How does the data, you know, how is that you make available of this data in the future? So that is when a data storage system is required. Data storage can be your local hard drive, or it can be a premise like a server system that is private to your organization, or it can be a cloud. You connect these instruments or these applications to your data storage, and the data gets stored over a period of time. So and this data can be of different types. It can be structured data that is called RDBMS. And non-structured data is something like your Facebook application, your Twitter. They have no proper structure, whereas your banking account, your banking information is a very structured data. And sometimes data can be of even different types. Like a flat file is nothing but data in a text file. There is no proper structure, but they are like simply separated by commas or some tabs. These are data that generally come from instruments. And I have my data now. So how do I make sense of this data? Now I require something called as the ETL tool. ETL stands for extract, transform, and loading. And one of the simplest tool that everybody knows and everybody can use is Excel. And more advanced tools are coming up. They're almost like every week or every month we have somewhat of a new tool that is coming up in the market. And SQL Server is a Microsoft product like Excel, and there are more other SQL-based tools. But these are tools that I use in my daily routine, and I'm very much aware of. And so many other tools like Power BI, Tableau, are very advanced new age tools that can do a variety of functions. Python are like programming languages. They can also do ETL, but they are fundamentally developed. Python is fundamentally developed as a generic programming language, and it is used for a multitude of purposes. And R is a statistical program that is used for statistical methods and analysis. And lastly, MongoDB I use for no SQL unstructured data. And once I get this data, I'll also show you a demo of how ETL can be done with Excel after this. I run through my slides. So once you have your data brought into your tool, now you need to do some analysis over it. Like maybe you have to combine two functions, you need to divide something, you need to make a new formula, make a new column, um, or manipulate the data with your own thought process. That is the analysis services. Now the raw data has come to a situation where you can make sense of it at this moment. Now from here, uh, you can either make a visualization and a reporting out of this data, or you can simply take the data, make a printout, or make a presentation out of it for yourself or your management. And uh, Power BI and Tableau are very good in doing ETL analysis and reporting. They are one of the very leading softwares. They have the cutting edge requirements, and they are kept on building up with new requirements. Excel and Google Sheet are also very powerful in doing analysis and reporting. And lastly, once you have your reports ready with Power BI, I usually do something called as publish. Once I make Power BI available in Power BI service, when I publish it, it goes to Power BI service. This data is now available for sharing within my organization. I can create triggers based on the service. Say, for example, in my company, if I have to monitor some activity, and for example, a price of a particular commodity goes beyond certain threshold, I can create triggers, and these triggers can send a message in a Slack channel or a team viewer, or send an email to a user, or even a message to a application. All that can be done. Or I also sometimes use Python to create website with a Flask module wherein users can go and interact with these models. So these are the this is a basic understanding about how the software tools work. And I want to quickly show you a demo. Before that, I want to tell you there are a lot of data science groups on LinkedIn that you can go and subscribe and see more about it. I will show you a small demo about, give me 1 second. I need to share my Excel. I'll quickly show you how you can make use of Power Query in Excel. Do you see my Excel screen?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I will quickly show you 3 things that you can do in Excel. Probably this would be something that you may be doing or you may not be doing, but with my experience talking with so many people in my profession, I don't think people are still able to use Power Query, and this is a very good tool that is part of Excel. I think since Excel 2016, it's part of Excel. If you still have previous versions, you can download something called as Power Query from Microsoft website, and you can install, and it will become part of your Excel workbook. What I'll show you is I have 2 data sets. This was downloaded from US8, and they have supply chain information about some medicines, and they are from different sources, from different countries. And I can show you how to bring in this information into a sheet, the traditional way of doing it, and with Power Query, and how it can save you time. This is something called as ETL. And you can also use it for various different other purposes. And I can show you how you can take advantage of this tool. So I'm unable to show you my desktop. I have these 2 files. They are CSV files, but I'll have to also switch between tabs because I can only show you one screen at a time. So do you see the screen where I can open the different Excel sheets
So
Okay.
the screen you're showing currently is just the Explorer, showing different files.
Okay. Then I'll have to
So we
open the Excel sheet.
see
I,
SCMS delivery history data set. One and I think there's one that ends with XLS, and then the other one ends with CSV.
okay. This is the data sheet I want to show you. This is file wherein I have some project code and different information about a product. This is basically some drug that is coming from different countries. And the challenge here is I do not have a country of origin in this sheet, but that is in a different sheet. And the only way for me to figure out that is by looking into this project code, which has the country code in between these two hyphens. Now, the challenge is that I need to extract this country code. This CIVN stands for different countries, Cote d'Ivoire, Vietnam, Tanzania, and so on. And I need to also provide a country, a column wherein the countries are listed. And then I need to create sheet with this as a report. The traditional way of doing this is with Excel formulas. I think I created these formulas. Let me show you the sheet that I created with the formulas. Okay, I think I don't have the sheet right now with me. So like for example, I can do a formula of like this. Now I get the first hyphen, and based on this I can create a VLOOKUP, and I can open the second sheet. I'll also share the second screen. So in this second sheet, I have the list of countries with the country code. You see here the country and the country code. Now, how do I merge these two documents with this information? Okay, I'll skip the part of a traditional way of doing it. I will show you straight away with Power Query how you can do it, because a traditional way of doing it you can always find much easily in internet by doing a Google search. So I can go to this new tab. So you can always find something called as Abhi, this tab is hidden with Zoom tab. How do I? Okay.
So what you're saying is, do you want to show?
No, I
Is it
think
that
I
it's not
minimized.
accessible?
The Zoom tab is on the top of my screen, so it's.
Okay, so bring it down. Just hold on the Zoom tab and bring it down. So that way
Oh,
you'll be able to
right.
see
Okay.
things that you have on top.
Okay. Now that's good. So when you go to Data tab in your Excel sheet, there is something called as Get Data. With Get Data, you can bring in data from a variety of sources. Say, for example, I have a PDF file. I need some tables brought from this PDF file into Excel sheet. How do I do it? I'll just go to PDF, and there's a sample file I want to show you. I'll select the sample file, and I click multiple. There are multiple tables in this sheet. If I want everything, I can simply say next, and it will get me all the tables. But if I want to say I want only these specific tables, I select these tables, and then I say transform data. Do you see the screen where it says table Power Query Editor?
Yes.
Okay, so this is something called as Power Query Editor, and this editor can do a bunch of things. Say, for example, see this column. This column is recognized by Excel as a text column. ABC stands for text. 1, 2, 3 stands for whole numbers.
Numbers.
So if I want to change this to a text, I simply select, into a whole number. I simply select this column and then I change into whole number. I say replace current. And remember, this is coming from PDF file. And when I'm done, I'm say close and load. And there's two options, either close and load or close and load to. When you click close and load to, it gives you four different options. Either you want to load this table as a table within Excel, or you want to create a pivot chart or pivot report, like a pivot table. That is possible. I'm going to load this a table in a new workbook. So what happens is Power Query goes to the Excel sheet. It copies this table. It creates a connection and it brings that information. And the beauty of this is that, say, for example, after a few weeks, this file that you did a Power Query, it changes, it gets updated. Now, what do I do? Should I do all that I did, before? Go grab the table, change the column, and all that? No, you don't have to. You simply click refresh here. Now, what happens is every time you click a refresh, Power Query, you see running background query. It was very small table, so it didn't take a lot of time. So every time you click this button, Power Query goes to that same file. If it's in the same location, it will grab only that information that you already made a connection with, and will bring you only those data. And see how easy it is to edit this data. It has come in an Excel format, and it's in a table format. Now you can do all the data manipulation, like whatever mathematical formulas. If you want to add these two, it would still work. See, this I don't know if this was possible before. People usually open the PDF file, they copy, paste, and do all the formatting. This is like within few minutes, your data is ready for your data modeling. And I will also show you how one more thing with Power Query. I have this master file that's in a text or CSV format. So this is the master file. I'm opening this in Power Query. See, this is the column that we are talking about, and I'll go do transformation, and it opens in Power Query Editor. Once it's in Power Query Editor, I can do a variety of things. I can include rows. I can remove duplicates. If there are duplicates in this row, I simply select the rows, or if I have to combine few rows, I can select multiple rows and say, go remove duplicates. Only those rows that are duplicate in all these three columns will be removed. Now, what I'm going to do is something different. I'm going to extract this country codes between these two hyphens. I say text between delimiters, and the delimiter is a hyphen here. I simply put two hyphens here, and I click OK. Now you see all the steps that you do here are listed over here and in the applied steps column. Now I get the country code removed from the total project code. Say I made a mistake. I still need the project code as well as a country code. How do I do? Can I go back? You simply click this step, remove the step. Now you get the original data. You right click, say duplicate this column. Oh, I think I have to select one column. Duplicate column. There's a duplicate column that created, and now we can go do the text between delimiters. It's done. Now go to home, say close and load. It's fetching the data from the Power Query. Your data is here. Now your country code is here. Now I also showed you that other file that has only the country, right? I'm going to now bring in that file over here. I'll go say data from file. Now this is a workbook. This is a country workbook that I'm bringing here, just to show you that there is data here. I don't have to transform because there is only two columns. I'm simply loading this column. So this data is over here. Now, what I'm going to do is merge this file with the new file. You see this country column now would match with the data transformation that we did. There's a country ID over here matching with the country ID over here. I select these two columns and say left. There are 4 different merge options. I'm doing a left merge, which will give all the columns from the first file and the matching columns from the second file. Now, when I say OK, again, Power Query opens. Here, it has brought the columns, but I don't need the country code twice. So I'm removing first column and I'm saying, just give me the second column. All the matching country code with the country is now brought here. I say close and load. Now we should be able to see the country here. You see the country matching with the country code is now available. But if you have to do the same thing with the formula and so on, it would have take you a lot of time, and the Excel file size would become so big. At one point in time, you would be unable to handle and operate within the file. This is a very simple demonstration of how Power Query can really help you transform your work if you are using Excel day in, day out. I would, this time up, I would end my presentation over here, and I would let the panel open and ask you if you have any questions.
Okay, thanks. So what I will do here is to leave it open because I just want to know if anybody have question. I haven't seen any question there in the questions box. Although this is something that is just a demo, well, you probably will be wondering, okay, some of these manipulations that is being done here, what if I want to learn how to do it? Well, this session won't be a session where you can learn that because here we're just kind of showing you. So in order for you to be able to do it yourself, I guess maybe like Kartika suggested, there probably will be another session where it would actually involve having people to carry out some of these manipulations themselves, having shown how to go about it. So that probably will be another session. I think Kartik is also saying that that will be done in combination with Power BI, is it?
Yeah, what I think plan to do is to take up data set like I showed you the data set of the SEMS. We can take a data set and we can see, we can ask questions about the data set, and we can try to answer them by using Power Query or Power BI, specifically for supply chain domain.
Related data sets. Okay, yeah, I mean, that will really be something that we can really relate with. I do know that this type of data we have here, even though it's clear to me what you are demonstrating in the way you were doing some of the Power Query steps to merge, and there's the transforming part, is the loading part of it, and all that. So it will be really nice if it's something that we can really see a supply chain related data set, and we can see it, actually demonstrating or doing things that we can relate with in terms of our day-to-day operations in supply chain. It's just that the thing is that supply chain is very broad, right? You know.
That's correct.
So you might bring some data that relates to planning, production planning, and then somebody who is in procurement cannot really relate with that, right?
That's correct.
So I don't know what kind of use case will be, will be helpful for everybody. But the one thing I know is that everybody generate reports, and so maybe from that angle, Power BI might really help in that regards. But for the ETL aspects of it, if I mean using the Power Query, if you do have some use case that we can, kind of demonstrate, that might, I mean, that is related to supply chain, that also will be nice. But are there any questions there? I think there is this. Oh, I thought there was this tool that you could actually use to raise up your hand if you have a question. I thought I saw it. I used to see it here or something. But in any case, if you have a question, you can still type in the chat box. Otherwise, If there are any questions later, you can reach out to us within the WhatsApp group. If you don't have the question, these things take some time to really assimilate or to even process it. Being you know, like for me, I've heard ETL several times. I've never seen it being done. So it takes some time to really process. So what I would say is if you have any questions there, put it across and I would have a Kartik answer the question. Since
Absolutely, I can.
we don't have a big number here, I'm actually going to let people talk here. I don't know if you can allow people to talk simultaneously, is what I don't know. Okay, yeah, I think you can. Yeah. So it's not a large group per se. So I'm just going to let everybody talk so that that way it could be more interactive. So yeah, so I've allowed everyone to be able to talk in the attendance group. Any question? Does anybody have any comment to make? Okay, so if we don't have any comment, guys, we'll be looking forward to have another sessions where we will look into supply chain data set, and then maybe this time around looking at the Power BI tool as well as the Power Query. So without much ado, guys, we thanks for having Kartik today. Once again, I'd like to talk about our group is Supply Jobs Canada, where supply chain and project management community of foreign trained professionals, and we support and do mentoring, and we provide resources to help each and every one of us to grow and achieve career development here in Canada. So if you would like to join our group, I'm just gonna put a link here, siraprojects.com/community. You would see details there on how to join and everything that you probably will want to know about our group. So that's it. Just reach out if you are interested in becoming a part of our community, and we'll really be glad to have you. So that's it, guys. You have a wonderful weekend. Kartik, once again, thank you, and would be looking forward to another session on Power BI and working specifically on supply chain data set.
Thank you so much for having me, Avian.
Okay, bye for now.
Very much. Bye.
Bye,
Thank you.
guys.
Bye.
You're welcome.